Greetings, astronauts, and welcome back to Astro Candy. Hello, I'm Raven, your host, and I'm excited to welcome back Eden Garcia Thaler on the podcast. Today, we're talking about using Kibbe Body Types in color analysis to hone your style. Now, that might be, at least the Kibbe body type part, might be like a different language to you. You're probably like, what Kibbe? What is that? That's exactly what I thought. But once Eden shared this information, she really breaks it down. I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. I get it. So you're really in for a treat this episode. Maybe you caught the one we released a few weeks ago. It's about how sometimes you have to let your life fall apart. Just go back a couple weeks. That is so good. That's like, I was going to say Eden's origin story. Not really. It's kind of like how we bridge the gap from where she was in the spiritual coaching space to where she is now, which is more free-flowing, content creator, girl on a style journey. So go back and listen to that if you want to get to know Eden just a little bit more. But really quick, she is a content creator and the host of the podcast Field Notes from the Spiritual Journey, where she explores shadow work and healing and navigating the spiritual journey as a highly sensitive being. Eden has a bachelor's degree in Interdisciplinary Studies with a focus on human spirituality and well-being, and she studied spiritual tantra at the Shakti School, which includes the methodologies of meditation and visualization, techniques for regulating the nervous system, emotional processing, and manifestations. If you want to hear Eden's perspective on those topics, more spirituality-based, I will also link those in the show notes so you can refer back. I've got like 4 episodes with Eden. She's basically my co-host now. But in this episode, Eden shares her style journey, and she reveals that she's had an interest in fashion since she was a young girl going thrift shopping with her mom. She explains, though, that you don't have to be a supermodel or a fashionista to wear clothes that complement your body type and skin tone. I think that's where we all get kind of stuck. We admire fashion, we look at it and we're like, man, I want to look like that. I want to dress like that. But it kind of gets lost in translation, or we don't have the confidence to pursue it. Well, guess what? You don't need to have all the knowledge or even a passion for fashion in order to wear clothes that look good on you. So Eden talks about ways to figure out your intuitive style, and then she introduces the Kibbe Body Types. Now, the Kibbe Body Types are image identity types that are based on the proportions of someone's bone structure, body flesh, and facial features. I know this might sound like, what the fuck are you talking about? But Eden explains it wonderfully. And then she'll detail the 5 families of the Kibbe body types on the Yin-Yang spectrum. Again, she'll explain all of this, but we go into romantics, gamines, classics, naturals, dramatics, and she explains how those components manifest to form your unique body type and the clothing styles that look best on each one. So as we discuss, kind of go through, take notes, picture it in your mind or look up photos, and I bet by the end of this episode, you'll have a pretty good idea of which Kibbe body type is yours and what clothes you will look best in. Then we talk about the recent popularity of color analysis. You've seen it everywhere, all over TikTok. And it's like, oh, this should be easy in theory, but it's really hard to figure out. Yeah, we talk about that. And Eden tells us why you should not rely on online quizzes for an accurate analysis, which, oops, I'm guilty of. But I'm happy I had her to point me in the right direction. Then we hear Eden's opinion on fashion trends, signs you should pass on them, or cost-conscious ways to participate in them. And then she reveals the best places to shop sustainably on your style journey so you're not like throwing away a bunch of money. This is a really good episode, especially in time for tourist season. So I hope you enjoy this episode and my conversation with Eden. Back again. Eden Garcia Thaler on the Astro Candy podcast. Hello.
Hello. Long time no chat. Can't wait to get into
couldn't stay away.
I can never stay away.
Well, I'm happy to have you back because we sort of alluded to it in the most recent episode that I released, which I'm so happy we ended up breaking these episodes up into 2 separate ones because they're interconnected, obviously. It's your story. It's all your story. But there is just so much to get into with fashion, style, your journey into style, which I am excited to look through this lens that you're kind of providing for us, which is like, you don't need to be a supermodel or a fashion designer or in that space to enjoy buying clothes, wear clothes that look good on you, find a good fit, the right colors. And not only that, but like feel good and confident in what you're wearing and express yourself.
1,000%. Yeah, I love that you said all that. Like, you don't have to be a supermodel or born with this body, because the way I approach it is so about one, embracing yourself, and two, like lifestyle. Like, I feel like it's just part of cultivating for me myself as like a woman that I want to be in this chapter by cultivating my image and my style. So yeah, I'm happy we get to just dive into that
I'm happy
today.
we can talk about it too, because your girl needs some help.
Let's get into it.
I literally was going through my closet. I've been in this Mercari Poshmark phase. Do you ever sell your clothes on
I
like,
do, and
okay.
it's a nightmare. Like, I actually just saw a TikTok about how Poshmark is just it's in its downfall right now, but
100%.
it's so weird. The website's so outdated. It's expensive. People weirdly resell items for like so close to their original cost. It's crazy.
It is. It used to be back in like 2015, it was the spot. Like I would post something and get instant sales. Now listings go unviewed as far as I'm concerned for months at a time. I've since switched to Mercari, but the point of this is I've been doing an overhaul of my own closet, getting rid of items that no longer serve me. And then, once I do, I'm like, fuck, I have nothing. I have nothing in
Yeah.
my closet. And it's empowering in a way because it's a blank slate, but also it's daunting because it's like, where the fuck do I start? So you're gonna tell us where to
Okay.
start, or at least
Okay.
how you started. So let's get into your style journey. Have you always been into fashion? Have you always been somebody who can look at an outfit and be like, yes, that's amazing style, or have you always needed help?
Okay, amazing question, because that's where this whole journey started off. I've always been into fashion and style. I grew up with a very like creative into style mom. So we would go thrift shopping, and it was always about finding and creating unique outfits and things like that. Like, totally a part of my life. I feel like I always had a sense of my own style. Like, I would have the Pinterest board that had a very strong like sense of what I wanted and liked, but it was a totally different story when it came to actually manifesting it. So this whole style journey, quote unquote, for me kicked off about a year ago when I really just was stuck in this question of like, why is my Pinterest boards different than how I'm showing up every day? And like, why
Mm.
is it not crossing over? Like, in my head, I always say this, like, I felt like I had the best style, better style than anyone. I would like be critical of people's styles, or like, it shouldn't be like this, it should be like that. But I just was quote unquote choosing not to live it out. Like, then when it came to my own self, like, I was not showing up that way. So there were a couple of things that I uncovered at the beginning of this that changed my freaking life. The first was Kibbe Body Types, and the second was seasonal color analysis. And both of these came into my radar through actually one through like just a conversation I was having with someone, but also these things are like huge on TikTok. So I
Mm.
definitely got into the TikTok rabbit hole with that. So my kind of approach is coming from someone who I have an intuitive sense of what I like and what I want, but when it actually comes to putting the outfits together, it's a little challenging for me to say like, oh, why do these things not look the way I thought they were going to look on me? Or what should I put with this to make it flattering on my body? Like, that has been the part where I'm learning.
Take us back a little bit to the Pinterest board days. What was on your Pinterest board? What were you drawn to? Because you said you intuitively had style, but it was sort of lost in translation. So this is such a abstract question. How did you know you intuitively had style?
Oh, it's just intuition, like, not to answer the question circularly, but hear me out. Like, when you're on Pinterest, this is actually an amazing exercise too, with like figuring out what your style is. Go on your Pinterest discover page, or go on like what you've all pinned in the past, because you will literally immediately see what your style is, like what you're drawn to. So before Pinterest, I was in my Tumblr era, like way back when. And like, that was another example of it. Like, I could go on there and look at my feed and just see like everything I'm drawn to. Another way you can kind of do this if you're like confused on what your style is well, depending on what you save on Instagram, but my saved images, like I would click on that and there's such an aesthetic, like there's so many patterns through there. So I would look at that and then I would notice the patterns like, it's always like glowy natural lighting. Like it's always like very natural styling, like not a lot of makeup, like
Mm.
lots of freshwater pearls and like gold jewelry. That's been a constant thread throughout all of the years. So I had to start being like, oh, that's very natural styling and makeup. It's like natural hair and like minimalist jewelry.
I love this. Okay, so want to hit on something that you said. So if you listening are like, I have no idea if I have style or not, I don't know where to start. Eden said, what are you drawn to? Big emphasis on drawn to. That could be your intuition. Like you are intuitively drawn to, led toward, gravitating toward this one thing. So, yes, amazing exercise. Go through your Pinterest boards or your Instagram saved posts, or if you're using Lemonade, whatever the fuck it's called, and see what the commonalities are. Like, look at it as an overarching whole and see what colors you tend to like, what styles, what patterns, what everything that you said. So I think that is the best first step. Now that you've explained where to go if you have no idea where the fuck to go, let's talk about these other ways to refine your style. And you share about Kibbe body types and color analysis. Let's break it down first with Kibbe body types, because this has a lot to do with how your clothes lay on you, how they fit on you, how they look on you. So, first, what is Kibbe?
This is so life-changing. This has changed my life. Okay. Kibbe Body Types, it was a image identity system developed by this stylist named David Kibbe in the 80s. And he was really trying to help people understand, accept, and bring forward their natural beauty of their natural body flavor. And I'm saying flavor because it really does go beyond like body types, at least in the way that he initially introduced it. He kind of proposed this idea that your body's bone structure and flesh, the actual shape of it and the composition of it projects a unique image identity. So when we're taking into consideration clothes and trends, and this is why this was so life-changing for me, because I do not have a body type that is depicted in high fashion models, even in catalogs. I do
And
not
most
have
people
that.
don't.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're translating outfits, this is so important because 99% of the outfits we are seeing are often not on someone of our body type. So when the clothes go onto our body type, they fall differently, they hang differently, they project something completely different. So, for example, before this current style chapter that I was in, I used to have very like boho style, very naturalistic. Like that was just my style. It was in like total era. Everything's draping, everything's hanging, everything's super textured and lots of fabric. And it was awesome. Like I wouldn't change it, but I know today, like that is all of those styles are not, they don't translate the way they look on a Free People model on a soft classic, which is my Kibbe body type. So basically, he developed this system. There's 5 families of body types. Each family has kind of like another level within it. And it's basically runs the gamut from yin to yang dominated. And we can get into what that is and how those components manifest to form your unique body type.
Let's talk about the 5 types, because I think anyone listening will try to hear into what characteristics they fit most. That, and you might have to do a little extra legwork, a little extra research, image searching, maybe. Am I this body type? But okay, what are they? The 5 types.
You definitely will have to do some extra searching. I'm pretty sure the creator, David Kibbe, it's like it takes at least 6 months to a year to figure out your own Kibbe body type if you're doing it by yourself, because we have so much inability to see our own body. But let's get into it. So I highly recommend Googling just like Kibbe body types, because I want you to think of it as a spectrum. Starting on the yin side, which is the round side, we have the romantics. Are we diving in as we go, or are we just doing an overview?
Let's start with romantics and get into that. Yeah.
Okay. So romantics are the most yin side of the spectrum. So yin means round, soft edges,
Flesh,
smooth and
right?
flowing lines. Yes, flesh. So we have two components that create our body shape. We have our bones, our bone structure, and then we have our flesh, which lays on top of our bones. For the yin types, the outer edge of the body, if you were to stand in front of a mirror and literally trace the outer line of your body, for the yin dominated types, that line is defined by flesh. So you're not going to see bones popping out and sharp angular bone structure. You're going to see sloping shoulders, sloping hips and thighs. Like you're not going to see a bone poking out, if that makes sense. You're going to see all curves. So that is the romantic family. They have like the most yin. Think Marilyn Monroe. She's the quintessential romantic. So there's two subtypes within the romantics. It's just the regular romantic and theatrical romantic. The theatrical romantics have a little bit more angularity, a little bit more pointiness to them. But the defining feature of this type is what's called the double snowman. So they have really sloping shoulders and then really kind of like curved hips that create two circles on top of one another. So it's not what we typically think of as a traditional hourglass. We'll get into that when we get to the natural family. It's sort of like if you think of 50s pinup model. There's this, their
Mm.
shoulders slope down and then the flesh of their hips creates like another kind of rounded shape below it.
It's interesting you describing the shapes because it kind of makes me want to like take a picture of myself and then print it out and then actually draw shapes. Like, do I see a square? Do I see a triangle? Do I see a circle? And these points, and maybe that will help me narrow it down. Okay, but romantics, got it. They're yin, closest to yin spectrum, round, fleshy, soft, curvy.
Can I say one more thing about the romantics?
Of course.
So the other thing about this that's so interesting is the image identity. So you'll know if you're a romantic if you put on like a bodycon dress and you are oozing sex appeal. If you know, like I feel like just in your intuition, in your mind's eye, if you just think of someone, you know who like this person is giving sexy woman. Like they just
Mm.
project sexy woman. It doesn't matter what they're wearing. There's something about them that just it just is. Like I'm watching Grey's Anatomy and Catherine Avery. Have you seen it?
Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
I know I'm
Well,
way behind the times.
Catherine Avery, who's one of the characters, like she is such a romantic. She just like oozes sexual, mature woman. So that
Could never
is
be me.
every David Kibbe assigned sort of like an identity to every single type, and that's kind of along the lines of what romantics are.
Okay.
So moving on to the next type, moving from the right end of the spectrum in, we have the Gamine family. Gamine means kid in French, I believe. And Gamines are a combination of yang and yin. So essentially, if you think about the romantics, they're pure yin. Like there's pretty much not a lot of yang. It's very small percentage. Gamines have this combination where it's like parts of their bodies are very yin and other parts are very yang. So it creates a playful, youthful energy because if you think about a kid, kids usually have big heads, big doll-like eyes, but like kind of gangly bodies. Means kind of have that like
Not to call out the kids, but
but they do. I mean, like babies have big heads. Like that's
yeah.
so if you can think of someone who's, doll-like, or no matter how old they get, they're still
Mm.
gonna look young. This type, if you throw on that super sexy outfit, you're gonna feel like kind of like a kid playing dress up. It's just the essence.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's funny because as you're kind of going through these in my mind so far, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not a romantic. I don't have like that voluptuousness, that sexy woman about me. But the gamine, and I'm not saying I am gamine, but so far, gamine sounds a little more true because I feel like if I were to put on the bodycon dress, I would look like I was playing dress up.
Well, you tend towards gamine styles. Like you like color and contrast and like
This
loud.
is true. Yeah. Color
Um,
blocking. Is that a gamine trait, color
Yeah,
blocking?
so that's part of the style recommendations for gamines. Gamines can handle because it's almost like through their features, there's contrast. There's contrast of like angularity and contrast of roundness. they can handle like circles and squares, or like a more flowing top with like something super angular. They can combine patterns and carry it off, because essentially
Mm.
what we're trying to do is create harmony and repetition with our natural features through the clothes that we're wearing. Something else I haven't mentioned is the heights. So David Kibbe does give height recommendations, but people kind of say like they're not a hard and fast thing. But the thing about gamines is that gamines are petite. So that would instantly rule out gamines for you.
Oh,
Like you have
okay.
to be like pretty petite or like just extremely gamine, which you're not to be a gamine.
That's fine. That's fine. It is fun to see other gamines because I think you pointed this out
Yeah.
on your TikTok. Emma Chamberlain,
Yes. She's the
gamine.
gamine of our time. So the
Yes.
quintessential gamine is Audrey Hepburn. Within gamine, we have flamboyant gamines and soft gamines. So flamboyant gamines lean more angular, and soft gamines lean more yin. So we're getting kind of like meta with it. But Emma Chamberlain is kind of like, there used to be a pure version of each category. There'd be like pure gamine. Emma Chamberlain's kind of in that pure, like she's kind of not super flamboyant or super soft in my opinion, but she has that kid-like essence. When she
Yeah.
wears super sexy looks, they look stunning, but it's not her best looks. Her best looks are like when she's wearing funky colored socks with loafers and like jean cutoffs and
Yeah.
like a random top and her bob haircut. Like,
Like it's a little more androgynous.
yes, totally androgynous.
That's a
Yeah,
fun one. It's
it
one I kind
is.
of wish that I was. And it's funny that you pointed that out about me. Like I have a color blocked skirt right here. Like I do love contrast. And I do find myself even when I am dressing, and I'm not sure if this is privy to the Kibbe body types, but just in fashion in general, sometimes if I'm wearing like baggy pants, I'll make sure I have like a more fitted top. Like that's always been me. Not sure if it's supposed to be me, but I'm excited to figure it out on this style journey with you.
Totally. And the other thing is like once you know your home family, you can figure out how to pull from the other families in a way that's within your sort of like template, if that makes sense.
Okay, so we're not stuck in a box
No,
because
we're not stuck in a box.
no one likes that. All right,
No.
what's next on the
Next,
spectrum?
we have the classics. So classics are dead center in this the scale from yin to yang. And unlike gamines, where gamines are a combination of some yin characteristics, some yang, classics are blended. So if you took yin and yang, stirred it in a pot, and it became a blend.
Okay, that is hard to follow, but I get it. That was a very good analogy.
Yep, it's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's not to this, it's not to that. It's right in the middle, which is why it's right in the middle. It's moderate. So if you see someone and you're like, I don't see yin and I don't see yang, I just see that's classics.
What is, okay, but what is that? Okay,
Okay, so what
break
that
that.
means
What
is
does that
like
look like?
Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly is the quintessential classic given by David Kibbe in the 80s. So a lot of these are outdated people, but I'm in the classic family. So it's kind of just like this
Okay,
ingenue, moderate, delicate. It's like median height, like median everything. And then there's like more dramatic classics who are more yin, and more soft classics who are, I'm sorry, dramatic is yang, and more soft classics who are a little more yin.
okay. So sorry, as you're explaining this to me, I'm like trying to get a better grasp on it. Obviously, I know you and how you look.
Yeah, I
Would
can
it
give some more
Well,
examples.
no, what I'm just saying, like, would it be a good summation just to say classic, aka like the stereotypical? Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
stereotypical meaning like classic,
yes, yes. Because
like
it's
average, or like this is what you think of when you think of, you
a
know what I'm
person. Like
a person. Yeah.
it's almost the absence of any standout characteristic. Like the
Okay.
Yeah, and so because each family, there's kind of one thing you have to accommodate. It's like there's one thing that kind of slants your type that is the main thing you have to accommodate. So with the romantics, it's curve. It's like they're just curves all over their body. You have to accommodate the curve. With gamines, it's this their proportions. So like and this youthful kind of appearance. So that's what you have to accommodate. With classics, it's their moderation that you have to accommodate. It's like you have to avoid things that are too curvaceous and yin, and things that are too dramatic and harsh. So it's kind of like the absence of something to accommodate for classics
Mm.
is the thing they need to accommodate. It's all very median. Like think Kerry Washington is another one.
So does that mean you wear more fitted clothing, like fitted to your body clothing?
Kind of, yeah. If you think like tailored, Grace Kelly's such a good example in like the 50s, I feel like come to mind because everything's really neat. It's like with classics, everything needs to fit just right. Like it super oversized things just drown us and you lose us, but wait, too tailored things, too harsh of lines are like super harsh on us. So everything needs to be like delicately flowing. With dramatic classics, which is the yang slanted side, they can handle a little bit more like pointiness to their looks. But for me, I'm a soft classic. It's like romantic, but not super sexy. It's like more of an elegant lady. That's how he describes soft classics.
You saying all this made me think of Lucille Ball.
Ooh,
For some
okay.
reason, I feel like that could be. I just had to Google her to see exactly like what her look is, but I feel like she's a classic.
She could be, I'm not sure, but I feel like that time period is always referenced because everything was there wasn't a lot of detail and things were really smooth and like precise and feminine, like feminine in this like dainty way and sophisticated way, but not like this overtly sexy way. And that's very classic coded.
Okay. What's next on our
Okay.
spectrum here?
Next, we have the natural. So now we're in the yang dominated side of the spectrum. And our naturals are the people who we typically think of as having an hourglass figure in today's day and time because they have this inverted triangle. So Kim Kardashian is a soft natural. So we've got the two subtypes again. We've got flamboyant natural and we have soft natural. Soft naturals have a bit more curve. So Kim Kardashian, J-Lo. But if you really look at their silhouette and draw that line, you'll see that the widest part of their body is their shoulders. And the outer line of their silhouette is defined by bone structure. It's more of a blunt bone structure, but it is angularity. It is a inverted triangle on the top half from their waist to their shoulders.
Okay.
So the natural family is the main thing they have to accommodate is their width. And so width does not mean wide or large or fat or anything like that. It just means that the widest part of their body comes from their shoulders. So if you think about a lot of the supermodels of our time, like the Brooke Shields, they are the flamboyant natural category. A lot of actresses, flamboyant natural is like the body type of our time, or at least one of them.
So you mentioned something there that I wanted to actually touch on because I was thinking about it as we were going through these so far. Does weight have anything to do with your body type?
It has nothing to do with your body type. This is all bone structure and flesh. It's the way your flesh sits on your body. The different
Oh, okay.
types, they will gain weight in different patterns. According to this, like there's different weight gain patterns for every type, but your weight is not related to your type. Of
Okay.
course, it is in the sense like your body is your body and like everything's related, but your type will never change based on your weight.
So what are naturals wearing?
So the two types of naturals are kind of distinct in the sense that flamboyant naturals are tall kind of supermodel types. I think Princess Diana.
Mm.
They're the ones wearing these oversized silhouettes, these oversized blazers and men's workwear and men's oversized everything looks amazing and so effortless on them because they have this angular bone structure to kind of hold it up. Our soft naturals are wearing our, crop tops with baggy pants. And I feel like I feel like I'd be a soft natural if I could choose a type other than my own, which I'm coming to love and appreciate. But they can handle just more volume because they have this like bone structure that's their defining characteristics. So they can handle the volume because it's almost like their bone structure holds it up. But oversizing, they look really good in like drapey, oversized silhouettes because the way that harmonizes with their structure, it's like this, it looks super effortless on them. So things that are really constricting and super tailored look like super suffocating on them. So if you think about like J-Lo wearing like a business suit, it gives this energy like she's almost gonna bust out of it or like it's constricting her.
Mm.
So they look really beautiful in like these sweeping lines. Like, yeah, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. I definitely think I'm either going to be a natural or the next one? I need to hear the next one before I can come to
Okay.
my own conclusion, which I'm going to try to
Okay.
at the end of this. Okay, what's the
Okay.
next?
So the final on the full yin side of the spectrum is the dramatics. And so dramatics are the most yang. They have the most vertical line. So that's another Kibbe term. It takes a minute to wrap your brain around. They have the most vertical. They are long, straight. There's not really any curve going on, though there is this one subtype, which is the soft dramatic. So the soft dramatics, still the number one thing the dramatics are going to have to accommodate is their vertical line. So they're tall. They're like, tall is the main thing they have to like think about and harmonize with. The soft dramatics are also, they share that, but there is some curve. There's a yin undercurrent. Think Katherine Heigl. Like
Mm,
she's quite tall, but she has, if you only saw her from like the waist up, you almost think like Marilyn Monroe vibes.
yeah,
Yeah.
because of her face. It's like
Yeah.
roundish a little bit.
And she's got like a little bit of sloping shoulder that creates this very like feminine feel.
Okay. And what looks best on a dramatic?
For soft dramatics, I'm pretty sure the image identity that Kibbe gives is diva chic, which I'm obsessed with. I also think soft dramatics are just like
Go
so
on.
stunning. So another great example, Sofia Vergara, like that woman, she is a diva. And she, when she dresses that way, wearing leopard print, wearing a high-waisted, belted, long flowing black tailored pant, black stilettos, red lip, oh my God, it's like unstoppable because that's her Kibbe body type and she's dressing in the diva chic. So it's like you almost are pulling from the romantic category when we talked about like that sexual, mature, not sexual, but like sexy, feminine,
Yeah.
mature, but you're elongating it a little more, especially in the lower body, like longer sweeping lines through the pants and the shoes, etc. With our just pure dramatics, the pure dramatics, when I think of high fashion. Like I think of what the models on the runways are wearing. I really see a lot of dramatic energy happening. It's like you could put a work of art on their body and it's going to look cool because they're just like this straight vertical line. But dramatics can handle a lot of monochrome, a lot of like avant-garde, stronger lines, like more interesting silhouettes. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Eden, thank you for giving such a thorough analysis of all of the Kibbe body types. And you did such an amazing job. When I'm able to hear what someone's saying and then see it in my mind's eye, that's how you know description 10 out of 10. So because of this, I was able to like sort of process and eliminate. I am
Okay.
still torn between dramatic and natural. Just the other day, I was trying on bathing suits and I was going through my old ones and trying to see which ones looked best. And I'm like looking at my body in the mirror and I'm just like, God damn, I have no curve. Like I'm just like a straight little line. So that's why I think, and you tell me, based on what you said, I think I could be, wait, is soft dramatic an option?
Hmm.
I'm either a soft dramatic or something with natural. I
Yeah.
forget what the other, the sub in a natural was. What was the subs in the natural?
The subs of natural are flamboyant natural, which their main thing they have to accommodate. They have to accommodate width and height. And our soft naturals have to accommodate width and curve.
Okay, so I'm either a flamboyant natural or a soft dramatic. What do
Yeah,
you
and
think?
that's right. Those are right next to each other. So like you're definitely in there. I would have to really look at your silhouette more than anything, but my instinct for you has always been since day one soft dramatic, just because the number one I see, the number one thing I see when I see you is long. I'm like, that is a long-legged lady. Like she, like no
Yeah.
matter what. So, and another thing I didn't mention about dramatics, but the thing about dramatics is that they're narrow. So the shoulders are narrow. Think Meredith Grey from Grey's Anatomy. Like she is the most dramatic. She's so narrow. It's like almost insane. Whereas when I look at you, I don't see shoulder width.
Mm.
But that would have to be
Wait,
really like in the
let's
mirror
see.
looked
I
at.
got my sports
Yeah.
bra on. One
Okay.
second.
You can stand up, show the class.
You didn't think you're getting a show today, did you, Eden? Okay. Okay, look. What do we
Okay.
think?
Except it's in proportion to your whole body. So I need to see
Okay.
head
I
to
so
toe.
I have to stand up. Okay, one
Yeah.
sec.
Okay. I need to see it all at one time.
I don't know if I can actually show you.
Oh, it's really hard. I mean, it's not exceedingly obvious to me. So that makes it hard. But I also, yeah, once we get the real footage.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
here's another clarifying question for you is when you wear super oversized things, do you find yourself wearing a lot of that? And how does it fall on you, would you say?
I feel like I swim in oversized things. Personally, I don't. I have a few oversized blazers and like oversized baggy pants. And unless I balance it out, like unless I balance out the oversized pants, for example, with a short crop top, it looks terrible if it's like all oversized. Even when it is with the crop top, I do feel like I just look like I'm swimming in baggy clothes.
Yeah, that's a pretty sign for me, a pretty strong sign for me that you're probably soft dramatic. And another thing is just like we usually don't want to be the type that we are. Like we usually would rather be any other type than our type. It's like very hard to typically come to terms with our type.
I think I've just my whole life I've come to terms with like I'm always going to be tall and lanky, gangly looking. So there's that. So it doesn't surprise me, I guess, that I'm like
Yeah.
one of the yang leaning types. But this was
Mhm.
amazing. Thank you again for going through all of those. So if you
My
were
pleasure.
listening, you might have to re-listen just to really understand your Kibbe body type and look up all those references as well because it helps to see other people and you could be like, oh, yeah, like that's kind of like me or not. So that is one facet of fashion. Or style, really, because you have like one, what you like, which we already talked about. What are you drawn to? Two, what best fits your body type, which Kibbe Body Type is the best resource for that. And then three, what color palettes look best on you? And you were talking about your experience with color analysis. How was that? I mean, that is really buzzy right now on TikTok.
Oh my gosh, it is. And I watch that. They come up on my feed constantly and it's so funny. I love watching them. But I was introduced to this very randomly at a New Year's party by this woman who I had never met before. She was older and she was referencing how in the 80s or whatever, this was a huge thing. And so it's kind of having this resurgence. This is another one that just like this is why I just think style is not one size fits all. And it's so worth the journey to figure out your body type, your color palette. Similarly, it took me months to be able to see my own color palette because, like we've kind of been saying this whole time, if you're not, some people I feel like intuitively almost know these things. They don't even have to learn it because they just know it. They're wearing the right colors, etc. But if it does not come natural, it can take a while to really see the colors. But that's another amazing tool because colors that are trending right now might not be our
Mm.
best colors. And you might notice like, gosh, I feel like I'm drained in everything, or I'm pale in everything, or like I love this print of this swimsuit, but when I put it on, I feel just like almost viscerally the ick from it. And that I feel like has so much to do with our color palette.
What's yours?
I'm a soft summer,
Okay.
but
I took a quiz,
the online
which,
quizzes are fake.
okay, but I did feel like it was real. Like I felt like I was a soft summer. It told me I was a soft summer.
What did it have you do? How did it get
Upload
that
some
result?
pictures of me and then like did the analysis of like my eye color and my hair color and my skin
No,
color. No?
no. First of all, don't take an online quiz or trust it. I truly like
Okay.
they're fake. They're fully fake.
Okay, so then the filters on TikTok are fake.
Well, the filters just gives you a swatch of color that you can kind of test from if you know exactly what to look for and you're in the proper lighting and you have a trained eye. I think that those can be helpful, but I would start with what's in your closet. I would start with thinking about if you want to go the DIY route, because I do recommend getting it done. Did not get it done, but that was after I diagnosed myself as a spring and then lightened my hair and it was red and it was horrible and I'm still recovering from that. So that's why I don't recommend the DIY route. However, if you want to, just think about like the items you're always gravitating towards, you feel good in like almost if there's a color in your closet that's like, oh, this is my like home-based color, like it's my safe color. That will give you a lot of information about maybe what you feel best in. You can also drape with clothes in your closet just to see what colors look best and then kind of try and figure out what palette it's in. But I feel like watching videos similar to what we just talked about, finding examples, like looking at trying to figure out examples of other people, famous people who are typed in their results and comparing. But I have a hunch that you have warm undertones.
What is warm? Yellow?
Yeah. So basically with color analysis, you either have warm or cool undertones, and some people it's a spectrum. So it's not like black and white. You can be neutral, you can be warm, leaning cool. But easy way to think about it is like warm is yellow based.
I'm warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so warm. Like and is your natural hair like dark blonde or kind of dirty
Yeah.
blonde?
It's almost like your color. Do you see?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're probably a light spring or or like a spring flow, which is like between spring and summer.
Okay. I'll look into it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's amazing. Social media has allowed us all to learn about these types of things, whether that's Kibbe Body Type or color analysis, but it does feel overwhelming when you're just the regular average and you're like, I have no fucking idea where to start. But what I love about this and I love about your TikTok page is it's like, hey, we're all just learning here. Like there is no right or wrong. You don't get a fucking gold star if you figure it all out or the fastest or whatever. Like we're all just figuring out our style. And it really all comes down to what makes you feel good, what makes you feel confident, what makes you feel like you can conquer the world. So that's why I love that we're having this conversation, especially during Taurus season. Taurans very into obviously luxury and glamour and sensuality and a lot of that time that shows up in like how they dress and how they present themselves. I want to
Yes.
talk a few things here. I know we're coming up on time, but there's a couple things I just want to get your hot take on. One is trends. How do you feel about fashion trends? They come and they go so fucking quick. I get whiplash. So anybody listening and they're like, "Oh my God, it's like I saw this on the TikTok shop and do I get this or like what how do you view trends and when should you hop on them or not?"
Oh my gosh, this is a pain point for me, I'll be honest, but I will give my 2 cents. I grew up as a lady who was a trend hater. Like, I always felt overwhelmed by trends. So I feel like people skew towards trends in two ways. There's the trend haters who are so anti-trend. It's like, shh, frowning on trends. Like, people who follow trends are so stupid. And then there's people who are like so on every trend. It's like they're throwing away their entire wardrobe after every single season. So I think it's about locating yourself on that spectrum because I know for me, for my inner child, it's really healing for me to participate in a trend that's like kind of stupid. Or see, it's even in me stupid. Trends aren't stupid, but like to have fun with my style and step out of this like rigid box of what makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you were the type of person who it's like your every trend every single time, it may be a learning journey for you to like discern, am I just purchasing this because it's a trend or am I purchasing this because I really love it? And I have another couple tips that I can't take credit for these. I wish I could credit them to where they're due, but that I've learned from different people. One is like if there's a trend and you like the item and you genuinely just love that thing, like participate in that trend. For example, Birkenstocks. Like Birkenstocks are coming in and out of trends, but I was raised on Birkenstocks. Like I was raised going to the Birkenstock store in freaking Vermont or whatever. That's always going to be something I like. I like a clog shoe. So I'm just always going to be into that. And so I think that being able to discern if something is like evergreen for you or if it's not. Another good trend test that I've heard is let's say the trend was like silver pants. Those silver pants are like they're only hot because they're trendy right now, you know? So it's like
Mhm.
take the trend and apply it to other things like shoes or like a shirt and see if you still like it. Like, would you wear a silver metallic headband? You know, like, would you wear silver metallic shoes? And if you're like, no, I only want it for the pants, okay, then it's definitely like a trend. It's coming from a trend, not like I like that thing. That doesn't mean not to do it. It's just like recognizing that, you know?
Yeah, that's so funny you said that about the boots because I literally just listed on my Mercari/Poshmark these disco cowgirl boots. that are
There
silver,
we go. Yeah.
metallic. So if you do like that trend and you want to buy them from me, no, just kidding. But I think that's really good when it comes to discerning. Goes back to what we were saying. Intuitively, what are you drawn to? And what do you really love? Because what I don't want to do, and maybe somebody else has a different view, but I don't like spending frivolous money, especially on trends that come and go faster than a news cycle. And that's why I think using that lens of what am I drawn to intuitively? What do I really love? What is timeless for me? What's evergreen for me is going to help you build a type of capsule wardrobe and then incorporating the Kibbe body types and your color palette. Holy fuck, you'll never have to buy frivolously
Yes.
new clothes
Yes.
ever again. So there's that. Next hot take question. If someone's ready to revamp their wardrobe right now, what are some stores that you recommend? There's a lot of fast fashion out there. We don't want to do that. I feel like, if you made it this far, you're committed to a sustainable wardrobe at the very least. So are you someone who thrifts a lot? Do you do like secondhand clothes and buying from local people on apps like Mercari? Like what do you do?
Okay. I think that it's such a fine line because it's like we're like dependent on fast fashion, I feel, as a culture. I know that I still am because I'm on a very limited budget. So I have in this style journey gone to H&M and just like got some things that I knew were gonna like get me to where I needed to go. I'm a big thrifter. I'm a big thrifter. Thrifting is challenging because it's hard to find one specific thing that you're looking for. With thrifting, it's more of like an open net and you're like, what am I gonna find? But I do recommend thrifting. Big on Depop, Poshmark, huge fan because it's kind of like merging thrifting with, you can find a targeted thing, things like ThreadUp. It really depends though on where you're at. I think figuring out what pieces you're missing is a huge part of the question because it's like, let's say you're missing sweaters, like actual wool sweaters for winter. For me, I'm going Poshmark Depop for that because I want 100% wool sweaters. And that's really hard to find in fast fashion or in fashion today without spending hundreds of dollars. So I can find those secondhand through or like the eBay auction site. I'm big on that. So things like that, it's like knowing what you need and then knowing where the best thing to find it is. Whereas I'm like, okay, I do want something trendy that I am also going to use. I'm not going to like throw it away. I might, go to Zara for that. So I feel like it depends. I feel like that didn't answer the question.
No, that answered the question. You gave a
Okay.
million options of where to go. And I don't want to like demonize fast fashion because it is so affordable. I mean, I go to Target, I go to Zara, I go to H&M. But when it comes to things that will last in your wardrobe, like for example,
Yeah.
this workout set is from Target, but that's because workout sets to me are like trendy, they like come in and out of trend. One thing I want to add, so everything you said, and I will do Rent the Runway, which is another great, it doesn't have to be Rent the Runway. Any type of clothing rental is also, I think, a good option to like play around with the trends. One, and you're not actually like buying those pieces is another good way. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I haven't done that, but I'm obsessed with that. It's such a good idea. And that's also why I like thrifting because on like especially when you haven't figured it out, like I feel like there's a temptation to like figure out your color palette, your Kibbe body type, purge your closet and refill your closet. But I would just really caution that if you're doing it DIY because you are not probably accurate yet. And thrifting kind of saved me in this because I was like buying a lot and trying a lot and then like just getting rid of it again because it just wasn't quite right. Like I kept refining my understanding. And I like thrifting for that because it is so low stakes and it's so like you can just redonate it and you can
Mhm.
test out colors and you can test out silhouettes, even if it's maybe not like the end all be all item, especially for like bridging to where you want to go.
Yeah. Great tip. I mean, this entire episode has been really informative. And I think if anybody was listening and they had no idea even where to start, they do now, and they have a little roadmap. So thank you, Eden, for being on the Asher Candy podcast again. How can people keep up with you, your style journey? Where can they find you?
So TikTok is where I'm documenting the process. It's Eden Garcia Thaler. We'll put it in the show notes. It's the same on Instagram. Those are the places to check out.
Thank you, Eden. You know, I always love having you on since you've been on a million times.
Literally, I'm so honored to be here every single time.
Okay, love you, mean
All
it.
right. Bye. Love you.
I don't know about you, but I have a much better sense of my one Kibbe body type in the clothes that I should be wearing to fit my body, and two, the types of colors that I should incorporate into my wardrobe to really make my features, my eyes, my hair color pop. So thank you so much to Eden for being on the Asher Candy podcast again. I mean, honestly, she should really be my co-host at this point. I will link in the show notes all the episodes that she's been featured on because we talk about an array of topics from spirituality to shadow work to just life in general and trying to get through these crazy times and this crazy thing called life. And obviously this episode too. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would absolutely love and adore you if you would rate this podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening. Spotify, 5 stars. Apple Podcast, 5 stars. And share this with a friend if you know someone who would enjoy these topics. Maybe they are a fashionista and they haven't heard of the Kibbe Body Types, or maybe you've got a friend who's also on a style journey like Eden and they don't know where to start. Send this episode to them. And one other thing I wanted to mention before we go. I know I'm really putting this at the end of the episode. I will lead next week's episode with it if you haven't made it this far. But I wanted you to be aware that we are going on a season hiatus come summer. So we are finishing out the month of May with podcast episodes, weekly podcast episodes. And then I'm taking the summer off. That's 3 months, no episodes except for the Stargazing series. Those will still release once a month on the Zodiac season. So that's Cancer season, Leo season, Virgo season. You'll still get those short and sweet episodes. But yeah, we're just taking a quick recoup. I mean, we are on, this is episode 19 of season 4. And I really wanted to go all the way to the end of the year, but I was like, it's just not sustainable. For where I'm at in my life right now, I wish I could dedicate all my time and energy and effort into this podcast. Like, I wish I could hire a team and just like crank out content nonstop, but that's not where I'm at in my life, unfortunately. I hope to get there one day, but because we are 1, on a budget, which is no budget, and 2, this is pretty much a one-woman band save for Alyssa. Shout out Alyssa for writing my newsletter copy every single week, and shout out to Alex for curating the Asher Candy Zodiac season playlists. It's really just me. Like, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz, and she's fucking tired, okay? So sorry to disappoint. But no, this is just me. Like, what you're hearing in real time is me justifying why I need a break, which I think anyone listening could be like, yeah, that's understandable. Take a break. Anyway, all right. I love you so much. I will see you next week. And yeah, have an amazing rest of your week. Bye.